All right. Yay. Here we are live on Friday. Fabulous Fridays. Sandy, we've got some fun stuff. Planes, strange, and automobiles.
Isn't it
Woohoo.
stranger by the minute? And I love brainstorming with you, Betty, because when we brainstorm, even if we don't come up with something right away, both of us go back and think about what we talked about. And then next thing you know, it morphs into something else and then something else. And then all of a sudden we're having incredible ahas.
And we had some really good laughs last time too. Oh my gosh. I haven't laughed that much in a while
I
actually.
know. And when you look at what we're laughing at how silly the situation is, right? Like it's insane what's going on. Right?
Okay. All right. I have to say what I saw this morning in the news, right? So you know about the guy in Alberta, right?
Yes.
I think everybody has probably heard about it. He was on Stu Peters, um,
Pat
on YouTube. When you got the news thing at the bottom, right? So the latest news. So Alberta health minister is now saying we're going to have to learn to live with the COVID ID. And I was like, for real?
doesn't want to get sued, or he doesn't want to get sued. Is that what
She. I was like, okay, didn't you just lose and prove to everyone that it doesn't even exist? So now we have to live with this thing that doesn't exist.
They're all professional liars.
We're right on this. Talk about fucking strange. Like
it's evil. Like it's we call it strange, right? But some things are stranger than fiction, and we're gonna talk about a lot of these things, right?
All right,
but that's a great point that you're making, that they've proven that it's not real, because what Pat King did was he had the judge subpoena the health minister to prove it's real so he could fight his fine. It's basically the premise of the story. And the health minister came back and said we cannot prove that
we can't do it. We don't have it.
We don't have the proof. So we're paying these fuckers. This is the funny part. The taxpayer is paying these people to sit here and lie to your face, right? And take your livelihood away, and take your family away, and take loved ones away, and restrict where you can go. And
it's enough to make you crazy. Honestly, sometimes I'm like, I wake up in the morning and go, where the fuck do I live? Like, is this the Twilight Zone? Because it is nutty. It honestly, to the point of, it's actually hilarious.
It's hilarious if the stakes weren't so high.
Yeah, but I mean,
it's hilarious if the stakes
gone to a new level.
This has always been the way. The only thing that's changed is people are seeing it for what it is. That's the only thing I see changing, is we're understanding how satanic, Luciferian, absolutely criminal this system is. And it can't make it without people going along. And I'm not putting this on the people. It's the people in charge, the people who are the department heads, the division heads, the people who are in charge of these agencies, the government structures, the institutions. It comes from the top down, but it's peppered the whole way through with people who will go to any length to get their fucking paycheck. That is not their money. It's not like they went out and created a business or created a need. There's no need for the government structure we have. So anybody else in business, you have to create a product or a service that's in need that somebody wants to pay you for and compensate you for. But in government, you just put a title and throw out an application. Somebody else pays the bill, but you fit somebody else's agenda. And this is what people aren't necessarily cluing into and seeing yet, right?
I know. Yes, fair enough. But the thing that's different this time is this is global. This isn't like in one isolated country.
It always was global. But
it was global, but we're seeing the same narrative globally.
It always was the same. It's the same as the sex ed that came out and pops up in one country and then a little different in another country, but it's all the same core curriculum that's coming out. But what's happening is we're seeing the concerted effort that they are all showing that they are global, and it's all on our faces now, right? Yeah. Lots of people saying hello. Hello, everyone.
Yes, good morning. James was on early. God love you. Thanks. Lori, Dave, Patty, SRS. I can't remember your name. I'm sorry. I know you put it out there once, but you'll have to tell me again. I'm bad with names anyway.
So we're going to have a lot of fun today, and we're going to really challenge the narrative. And that's where, so we had some wonderful chats this week about, Betty just came up. She just had me in stitches laughing at some of the things she's coming up with. But as it gets crazier, the beauty of it is if we start asking the right questions, we can see even to a greater depth just how evil this agenda really is and what they're really up to, right?
It's crazy. Honestly, it's crazy. And I have to say, I have to shake my head. I'm like, how can people not see through this at this point? It's like ludicrous.
Do you know what I thought of this morning? And this is what
No,
I'm talking about. Betty and I didn't have a chance to chat earlier this morning, but I'm thinking this morning, and I'm thinking about how people got to be so stupid. And I'm calling them stupid because they're stupid, right? And I'm thinking about the very first episode of Survivor. And I was married at the time, and my husband at the time was watching. He wanted to watch it, and I wanted to watch it. And I thought, this has gone to Stupidville. You're all pretending to be starving, and you have no resources, but you can see the city every once in a while. The camera pans to the city, so it's just a film set where you're all pretending to be on an island where you're going to starve, and you got to find a way to look after yourself for $1 million. And I'm like, this will never fly. It's Stupidville on film, right? And what happens? It takes off. So these are the same people we're trying to wake up to realize that the pandemic that they're in right now is just a scam, and it's just more theater. We're not going to wake them up.
no. And I know. And that's, I've said this all like from the beginning. This is the great divide. It's the great divide of humanity. And then there's that great quote.
Test.
You can see it, and people are picking
sense.
their side. They're choosing on their own. It's so evident, and it's not. It's not funny. You're right, Krista, but it is funny. The fact that it's not funny makes it funny, because
you have to laugh at the
serious about it.
insanity.
You will go bonkers.
Yeah, you have to find.
You got to find the humor in the crazy of all of this. Yeah, there are too many people who are brainwashed, but they get to make that choice.
Okay, so let's talk about us getting brainwashed.
From everything I'm seeing, we've won this already.
No, we have not. Let's talk about us being brainwashed.
Okay.
So we get told the white hats are out here, and the white hats are going to save the day. How many stupid fucking people need to come to the surface to wake up before they decide to step in? They're going to give us food shortages. They're going to give us weather crisis. They're going to give us floods. So the U.S. Navy flood map, my understanding, I've heard about that years ago, that the military are told to go to high ground, but the rest of us who pay the bills can just stay in the low-lying areas and get flooded out. So yep. I had a conversation with Nicholas, and part of it was about Cuba, and I'm talking about Cuba. Who are we kidding? The U.S. goes in and bombs all these countries into obliteration, but they cannot go in and bomb Cuba because Cuba's military is just too strong. But they have a military base on the corner. Who's to say that these people are not taking out all the elites and bringing them down to Gitmo to give them their underground palace and then putting an actor in play? Because it's time they shitter got off the pot. We don't have to wait for stupid people. This is why the system is the way it is. So I'm putting it out here that maybe we need to start looking at whether we're all getting played.
Oh, we are. And, the kicker is I know we were talking about a lot of the stuff that's just been put out. But I actually have to say, I got to read this. SRS put out a great message here. She heard a good one-liner this morning that the CV is a religion and the V is the sacrament and the CDC is the Vatican. And I love it. That perfect. I love it. Thank you for sharing that. Yes.
Great comparison, great analogy, right? But isn't that the truth? They just created a new soap opera because they don't have to reinvent the wheel because this is what works. So if stupid people really love the, what do you call that? The
narrative?
That show? I was talking about Survivor. You love Survivor. And then you love The Bachelor. And then they love The Bachelorette. And then I remember, what was his name? Michaels. What was his name? He was a lead singer. He was on there, and they had to shut the cameras off because all the women attacked him and started bawling him on film. So they had to shut the camera off. What was his name? Poison, the lead singer of Poison. Anybody know his name? Something Michael? But so my point is, that's not love. But they're showing you this is how you find love. You put a contest out there. Well, isn't how they got OAC into office? They did a curtain call, casting call. So we're all still being played, even at this extent. So I don't believe the White Hat. I even said this. I do think Trump did the right things, but he's still a 3D president. But I don't believe everybody. I don't believe this is in the bag. I don't believe that anymore. I believe that's what they want us to believe, but we still have to hold people accountable, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And we've been, and even though Patty and I did a show, and our conversation was before that. I'm pretty sure actually it was. About everything, what Juan said, and who else just came out? Actually, so did Cliff. You sent me that video yesterday at Cliff High, the booplosion, and basically goes over the exact same thing. And part of me at some point goes, well, we've all heard this before, right? We've heard the same, you know, get ready, it's coming.
Instead of us saying, shut the cameras off. We're done. We're not playing. We're not watching your reality anymore, because there's no logical explanation. Oh, they say, oh, people won't trust if Trump comes in. Brent Michaels, thank you, Dave. People won't trust if Trump comes back in. He doesn't have to come in. That's not the only scenario that can play out. There's many of scenarios that can be brought forth. But what, we all have to be what? Threatened to the point of what? So the wake people have to pay for the fucktards who are still asleep?
Yep.
Basically, that's why the system is broken in the first place. Oh, we're all one. We're all unified. No, stupid people. You can go to the front of the bus. You can go to the back of the bus, but we are separating ourselves from you. And I'm not trying to pick on the people who have a genuine mental handicap. I'm not talking about those. I'm talking the people who choose to stay asleep.
Yes. But, to be honest, I give some credibility because we're already seeing some of the things that Juan said, like the forced, so you can see the forced.
So is he playing part of the game by preempting this in a program for us? Because there's a lot of people who just hang their hat on what he says. And I'm not saying do or don't. He's one person.
Well, you're seeing it. It's already happening in Australia. It's going to happen in more places. You're seeing, police.
So what military operation involves people being terrorized, being forced to have injections because you're saving the people? Like, what the fuck? Who's in charge of the military? That's your strategy? Fuck, I could do better than that. And I do like strategies. But there's got to be at some point, something has to break that we start saying, no, Juan, you and I muscle tested Juan. He's telling us 21% of what he knows. We did not say it's true or not true, but he's only telling us 21%. Well, who put that guy in charge to lead us down the garden path? Right?
Fair enough. I mean, I do think he is probably one of the more credible of the people, because he won't tell you more. Nobody's going to broadcast everything. So they can't.
So let's talk about that. So I was at one point, my husband was using a therapist, and the conversation that came up was a nephew had come over, but my ex-husband wouldn't show him how to use the remote, so he was playing with the TV and messed up the numbers on it. And of course, it was a reason for him to bitch to the therapist about this nephew who was like probably 8 years old at the time. He's just a boy, right? And it was kind of interesting because the therapist said that's a control move on your part, not showing him how to use the equipment properly. So this is a control move on Juan's part. Show us, we can decide for ourselves what we can take and what we can't. Are you really taking them down to Gitmo so you can give them the underground bunkers because you guys have owned Cuba the whole time? Like, I'm not buying anymore. And I sit here and I think, well, Sandy, that can sound paranoid. It's not paranoid. The choice is you sit here and run into food shortages or get jabbed. So maybe we're not on the
right kicker track. is you said this when we come to the food, you said you were at the grocery store and you saw that things were low. My mom said the same thing. She was at the grocery store and she's like, and this particular grocery store always has like tons and tons. It's not like one of the big main ones. It's a privately owned, always tons of produce. And she said it was so much less and They didn't have necessarily everything. And she's like, I don't know if it was just the day I went or what. She was questioning it earlier this week. But I think this week we're starting to see that we're not getting as much in.
Hey, and our prime minister gave Galen Weston $12 million for refrigeration units. You tell me this isn't, whether it's a bribe, who knows, like whether the transports that they're taking the trailers off and they're leaving them to collect bodies down the road.
Maybe the Westons don't need any money from the government. They're one of the families in Canada.
Right. So then you sit here and listen, and you know that this has all been probably preempted the whole way through, right? So some great comments here. 10 women sleeping with one guy all at the same time. You're probably right, because they're probably promoting an orgy, is what that show is promoting as normal, right? That's a great point. And the other one, Trump said that it was stupid to warn people of the plans if you're going to attack a country.
Exactly.
It's stupid to sit there and let them all attack us. We're supposed to sit here like sheep. Stand up and do what? Stand up, but don't fight. Stand up, but don't use violence. What are we standing up to, for, with?
Well, okay, I'm going to say, I'm sorry, Sandy, but I actually say the violence part, I get that they want civil war. They want it. They're itching for it. Just like what happened in January. That was a sting. You've got people still stuck in jail without, in solitary confinement for 7 months with no they're not allowed to have representation, nothing, for doing what?
So so this is the example of the injustice. So the white hats are out there, but they're letting this happen. And we all know that it was a setup. And I think they should have seen it was a setup. The other thing, what did we hear this week, Betty? The third police officer who was involved in that.
Suicided.
Suicided. How convenient.
I know.
Talk, right?
I don't know. I mean, yeah. Yeah, well, you got to destroy the evidence.
So this is the strange
part. Destroy the evidence.
Right? The strange part is question everything. And even though I think I know something, what do I know? Doesn't mean I know, but I'm sitting here thinking about Gitmo. There's other reasons that got me thinking about this. You know, I won't say what it is, but other things got me thinking about this. And I'm like, why do I believe? I believe the policies Trump set up in the executive order were dynamite. They were fantastic in the best interests of the people.
Yeah.
Right. And that's what I believe. But at the same time, because he set up those executive orders, there's no guarantee the people behind him are legitimate or decent. So we all know General Milley's in question, right? Did you watch the press release, the press brief that Trump did with Milley? And Trump asked him, so General Milley, where did you go to school? And Milley looks at him and goes, Harvard. You're supposed to go to Annapolis to the military school. So what is he, a CIA agent like the rest of them? Like these little turds, man. Like it's all.
Well, I think he did that. He did that on purpose.
Totally. He outed him.
Exactly. He outed him. Outed him.
But the majority of the people aren't cluing in. So I don't know. So again, what are we waiting for, right? So God didn't let the people suffer. I don't believe that. I think we all have free will, but it's just things got to this point, and I don't understand. I don't understand why.
Yeah, and I thought Milley was compromised a long time ago. There was something about him, you know, in the press conferences while Trump was still in. There was something about him. I was just like, I don't think he's a good guy.
This is, we have to we start counting on more of trusting ourselves.
Yeah, and you know, we have to stop actually even thinking like, because I still see. Oh, is Elon good? Is this person good? Is it, you know what? Go with your intuition. What does your intuition tell you?
And why do you need to know?
And why do you need to know? And why does it matter? At the end of the day, you need to know some people, but we know the main characters, and you need to know
yourself.
You are you on the good side? Are you on the bad side?
And be able to read the signs of manipulation and deception. And if things aren't adding up, trust yourself. Yeah. Like, you know, we talk about that. We've talked about this on numerous occasions, but if something's just like, if you're to the point you're questioning, why is somebody doing that? You should already know they're on your radar, even if they're a family member, friends, coworkers, doesn't matter who they are, but start asking, why would they do that? And if they can't give you a logical explanation and not repeat the behavior or not continue to act strange, then you really need to start looking. When I say I always say you, right? But I mean, all of us need to start asking, what's the agenda? Has it switched? Is it time the sleeper got put into play? Whatever, right?
Yeah. We are seeing people like, you know, and I've said it many times, people are always going to show you who they are. Yeah. We just have to believe them. Elon has shown you who he is. Believe it.
Yes.
You don't have to ask somebody, because guess what? These people you're asking, these other truthers, they don't know him personally to tell you. Yeah. They're going by their own gut.
And that doesn't mean they know more than you.
Exactly. Because you have a gut too.
Okay, so I was watching somebody, I can't remember who they were last night, and I'm listening to them, and I'm really liking what they're saying. And they had me until they told me that they listened to Tarot by. And I'm like, all the information's coming from the same sources. Do you know what I mean? So we really have to question. I'm not going to go into who the person is, doesn't matter. But when we all start, so then I got thinking about that. When you do tarot, you might be able to read one-on-one. You might be able to read the collective in the moment. But you cannot do tarot and then say, this is going to happen 4 months from now, because from that day to the next 4 months, things could change. That would make your what you assumed at the time wrong. Things are moving so fast. So if we're doing tarot, it's really good that we do it for ourselves.
Yep. And for the moment. Yes. I do it for what's going on, but it's more in the moment. Because I think I said on Wednesday, you know, the timelines, I actually feel like the timelines have shifted and they've changed. Things have been delayed. And that's a lot to do with us. It's us not really standing in our and being vocal about what we want and what we don't want, and saying no. People need to be, you know, I'm not saying go out and into the streets or anything else. And Penny Kelly said something really good. She goes, we could have shut this down a long time ago if for 3 days, that's all it would have taken, 3 days for everyone to just do nothing. Don't shop online in the stores. Let me tell you, it would have hit their pocketbooks so fast. If for 3 days, nobody bought anything, even when we were locked down, you couldn't do anything. You didn't go on Amazon.
Yeah.
3 days, you didn't, nobody in North America, let's just pick even one country, one in Canada, that would have hurt their bottom line. 3 days, nobody touching it.
And we would have got their attention. And then they would have had to rethink,
money
because
talks.
at the end of the day, their money is what's important to them. But let them know they don't control our purse strings. We control our purse strings, right? Interesting comment, Lori, about the Bible, because I was in a situation this week. I was helping a friend out, and she had another friend there, and a different friend had lent her a beautiful fluorite crystal to help her clear, just because of things that were happening. And she gave the crystal back to me, and I said, I love my crystals, whatever. And the woman said, oh, I didn't realize you're one of those. I'm going to pray for you. My religion says crystals are bad. And I'm like, I didn't say this because my friend was there. And I'm like, who gives a fuck what you think, right? Like, don't confuse that with me. I don't care what you think. And I just like, she goes, I'm a born again Christian. I looked at her, I said, I got it right the first time, which I don't identify with any religion, right? But it was just the absolute arrogance.
Did you actually say that to her?
Totally. I got it right the first time, and I laughed. I'm like, I don't care. I don't even know your name. I don't care. But, and I'm not going to see her again. It's not, and it wouldn't matter if I did, I would have said it anyways. But it's just the arrogance. Oh, we're all on the same team, except for, oh, now you like crystals and it's against my religion. So now you're bad, me good. And I'm like, bye. I got to go. I got to beat traffic. Do you know what I mean? So it's just, everybody has an opinion no matter what. That is not going to change in the next 5 years. That's not going to change. Right.
Well, and that's why I rail so much against, like, and I know I bring up the Bible, but these people who are like so hell-bent on religion, you got to crack your brain open a little bit more than the Bible. Very little of the Bible is intact. If, I know some people say maybe 20 to 30% is.
And I don't care.
And that doesn't matter. But there's other things, and you got to go in. There is still some good stuff. Like I've said, Jesus said in the Bible, we're going to divide ourselves. Why his apostles asked him, why can't we do this now? Why can't we just separate? Like, no, they are going to do it themselves. And we're seeing that. So we're actually living some prophecies of the Bible.
So it's interesting. Somebody posted earlier. I can't remember.
But we're not living the Bible.
Let's look at somebody posted earlier about the revelations. What came first, the chicken or the egg? Did they put revelations in the Bible so we will preemptively program and follow it?
Yeah.
Or is it playing out because they knew astrologically that these events were coming in, which is another thing that religion isn't allowing people to use, right? Like, they're not, religion says astrology is bad, but they all use it. Like the people in the top positions are, right?
Yeah. So. Yeah, there's been so many. The Bible, though, it does have some good stuff in it. It's not like my resource. And there's so many people who think Revelations was actually created very similar to what you're saying, right? So they knew astrologically what was going to happen. And then they wrote this book so that they can program us to
think this is what's going to happen.
Scenario that they wanted.
Right.
And I don't know if that's true or not. I'm not. I've never really been drawn to that book. I've barely touched it really in all of my
but you've
readings.
Done a lot of work on it too. You've done a lot of work in understanding what it is and what it isn't. So you have a lot of, I respect your opinion when you talk about the Bible, because you're not attached to it. I'm not saying that at all, but you've done enough critical thinking as you're looking at it that you can make comments and assumptions that a person who's capable of critical thinking can do.
Yeah.
Like, you're not attached to an outcome. So that's why your information and your input is valuable, because you're just sharing the information, right?
Yeah, I've looked at other texts. I'm totally hooked on the book of John. I don't know, it's got so much information in that little book. But there are other good ones in the Nag Hammadi too. Again, that just because it came out later, maybe it didn't have as many rewrites, but it was translated, transcribed by humans with an agenda for this book. Hold on, where is it? A massive book. Hold on. For this book to get published and be available to the masses, it had to be altered.
Yes.
So everything in here is also not correct.
So when you look at the ISBN numbers, think of them as a patent office. ISBN numbers are basically a patent for written material, for intellectual property. So when you submit your book for the ISBN, the government gets to go through and read everything. So they get to see if it's suitable or not suitable right out of the hopper. Like the control mechanisms in place are everywhere, right?
Yeah. He wants to freak people and suggest that Jesus has been married and fathered children. And you know what? Very likely. I've heard that too. And I've heard people say that he wasn't actually sacrificed. And that's what he was, a sacrifice. And at 33 years old, come on. Come on.
Am I the only one who's tired of being had? Like I said, like looking at Gitmo, are they actually just bringing the elites down there so they can put them off into their new future space so that they're still in charge? Like, and if they want us to believe them, sooner or later, if you're in a dysfunctional relationship, you have to start asking the tough questions, even for the ones you love who assume have your back, right? Mm-hmm. Because even the White Hats, they work for us. And it's like, well, we have to do this a certain way. Not if it means what we're going through right now. Not if it means that the intentional food shortages and they're going to start rounding you up and taking your children from your home because you decide to or not to inject them.
Do that.
Like, come on. Like this, I'm not buying the White Hat stuff anymore, but it doesn't mean I don't believe they exist. They either need to shit or get off the pot. Do something that the other people who are waiting here can jump in, because if all you're told to do is wait for the stupid people, the dumb people to get it, then they are the ones who are making us, they're taking away our thunder and our ability to stand up.
Yeah. And we do want to. I mean, I think all of us want, like, what can I do to move this along? What can I do?
It's told to speak up and shut up. So look at the borders that are going on. I don't know what time I got up this morning, and I had coffee, which I have coffee every morning, but this morning I tend to get a little jacked up on it, right? And I get my mind going. But look at the borders. We all get stuck at borders, and they tell you can't leave your pen. Your pen is your province, or your pen is going to be your city. But who are the criminals? The people like the people who have diplomatic immunity, the military, all the people who don't have the borders are the criminals.
Yep.
So when do we start taking down our, I'm not saying don't follow the borders. I'm not saying break it down. I don't know what the answers are, but everybody's got all these different rules and you got to apply for this. So everything is designed to keep us smaller. What happens when we get to the point that we don't have to follow borders anymore? So I do think great things are going to come out in terms of changes that are going to happen. But like, what happens if we do you talked about airplanes and runways. You want to talk about that, Betty? Do you want to talk about what we talked about this week?
Well, we were talking, I actually mentioned it on Wednesday's show, and I know you were busy that day. You didn't get to watch it, but my flying car, and I want my Jetsons, and I have to change my my driveway to accommodate a flying car. But Patty said, no, they don't need long runways. And then I was asking, actually, it was George Jetson and his wife was Judy Elroy. And then, oh gosh, what was the daughter's name?
Rosie was the computer.
Rosie was the computer, because I said I'm going to name my car after one of the Jetsons. So we'll have to see, because, you can't just say, oh, I'll name it George or Judy or Rosie. You got to know the personality of the car.
Totally. My very first computer at work was Rosie. I had the speakers on the side of it, and it had the 3 dots on the bottom of it. One was a power button. I can't remember what the other 2 were. And then the black screen. I thought that looks like Rosie on the Jetsons. So why this is so important that you're talking about the trains, strange, and automobiles. I knew a gentleman who worked at a local car manufacturer. I won't say the name just because I don't want to. But, and he said every chassis of the cars were the exact same. So they would stick one. Okay, one would be a Camry, and one would be a Lexus, and one would be whatever the other. I don't even know what all the cars are. But he said the exact same chassis was used for every one of the cars. They just stuck a different color on it and a different
shape,
whatever. It had different features on it, and charged you double or triple the money because you got something more out of it. Like, it's all bullshit. So if cars haven't changed in how many years?
Yeah, a long time.
Long time. So what are we missing out on? So that's why when you were talking about the Jetsons and the cars and flying cars, I thought, why not put it out there that, hey, we expect more from these people.
Hey, I want my flying car. That is my next car. It's going to fly. And like I said, damn it, it's going to fly. I am going to fly.
Somebody asked me why I haven't changed out my car, and I go, I don't know. Something's going to change. I get told not to buy another car. Just wait it out and see what's coming, right? But I
Me
hadn't
too.
thought about the Jetsons at that time.
Yeah, I think and I don't know how long that's going to take till we actually get our flying cars, but I don't remember which show I was watching, but they were talking about it. And I was like, because they're making runways right now in airports and stuff for flying cars. I'm like, what the fuck do I need excuse my French, an airport? And I say, excuse my French, because we're Canadian and,
We're bilingual.
that's our second language.
We
My
speak
second language is French.
and
And you're getting tastes of it. Anyway, yeah. I'm like, why do we need an airport? If I can fly, I can just fly to exactly where I want to go. But they are building these things, and I think that's super cool.
Yes. I think it is too. And Teresa, there's so much hidden technology that we're all, when I say we, I'm not saying all of us, but there for a bit, we're getting caught up in what the narrative is. Oh, they're cleaning everything out. And I'm saying bullshit. I'm not buying into that either, which it doesn't matter if I'm right or wrong, but there's so much more that's hidden that we want to see. And especially when they're showing us what we had in the 1800s with the free energy. And we talked about the pyramids in underwater in Cuba. And what I'm hoping is if they were down 700 meters, that the militaries or whatever can't get in low enough to be able to strip out the pyramids so that we can actually see what the technology is. And if it is a free energy device, that we can replicate it again. Microsoft messes with me all the time, right? Like we know that it's an operating system and it's full of viruses and it's Bill Gates. And we understand that they're playing with our minds.
Because Bill Gates loves viruses. And thankfully, there are people like McAfee who actually make antivirus.
Funny.
Can't wait to see what happens with him.
Yes, what happens to him?
I actually do. You and I don't see eye to eye on this one point. I actually do think that stuff is going on in the background.
Oh, I think it's going on in the background.
I don't know. I don't know exactly why it's going like the way it is, and why. I'm gonna be honest. Why we, those who are awake and aware, have to suffer because
exactly.
of
That's what I'm asking.
That refuse to see.
Because it's the ones who refuse to see that are keeping the bullshit in play.
Yeah.
And this is what the problem is, right? So Lori is funny, and I don't mean this with cars or making any comment on cars, but you look at the Mercedes symbol as the upside down peace sign. It should be the other way around. So Betty and I were talking, when I was talking with Nicholas, I commented about the 16th letter in the alphabet, the P word. And Betty and I was talking about this with her afterward. And she says, well, let's look it up. And what did it come up with? Achieving material power.
Yeah, it was achieving. It was, lots of different websites, but then there was one, because a lot of it was like all this airy fairy angel numbers, and I'm like, no, I want to know the actual meaning of that number. And that came up, and I'm like, whoa! It had a bunch of different meanings, but that was the top one. Well, the very first one on that website was like achieving material power. Yeah. And it was like, we were both,
bingo.
I did my little search on DuckDuckGo. Even it's easy to say Google, but I do use DuckDuckGo to it. And I'm like, holy shit.
Yeah, so we're on to something. And what letter comes after P? We all know what letter comes after P. So is this symbolic where we are? So was it Lori who mentions the brands on the cars, but look at all the symbolism right everywhere, including the numerology, right? So I wish I'd known that for the chat with Nicholas, but it doesn't matter because it got people questioning and starting to look up what that number means.
Yeah, so and she does say that the next letter always said over and over, you can't tell people, you have to show them, and that's what we're going through right now is the showing of
They're not going to get it.
But some will. I'm already seeing some people starting to question the narrative. Not a lot.
So patience isn't my virtue, obviously.
Mine either. My mom doesn't realize I'm live. Just keeps calling back.
So what does SRS stand for, Lori? Do you want to put that up for everybody? So this is kind of interesting. So you notice what we're talking about. We're talking about Cuba. Hey, wait a minute. Cuba's just off the coast of the United States. You can bomb countries across the world, but you can't take out this
tiny
government. Come on now. So we're starting to question a lot of things. We're questioning the letter P and all the professionals that have to go with them. Right. So we're questioning all of the, so are these programmed words that are in the system? Because I consider the system the matrix. So when you're looking at the medical system, you're looking at the physicians. Somebody came up with podiatrists. I was talking about feet, that they're chopping feet off babies, right? And you think about it. So this came to me thanks to a client of mine I was talking to this week. She said, podiatrist, after my comment about the feet, chopping the feet off of babies, what? Babies now need a foot transplant? What are you making, Franken babies that you need a foot? What are you using that foot for? So we're starting to question absolutely everything.
All right. You know what? Last night I was watching Bailey Sarian, and I can't remember, it was in the 40s.
What's her name? Sorry. Thank you, Teresa, for helping me figure that out. They're calling her SRS for short. I didn't realize. I'm like, what is SRS? I thought it was another acronym. So SRS is the SRS 4859. So they're calling her SRS for short.
Yeah.
So I didn't realize that's what that was. Thank you. I had a blonde moment.
Save our ships. Save our ship. Yeah. But anyways, she was talking about this one guy who was a serial killer, and he had all these fans. And, she was actually mocking a little bit of what his answers were to a lot of their questions. Like, what's your favorite, whatever. I don't remember what it was. But he had a foot fetish. I was like, oh my God. Satan was just talking about the feet. And this guy was like totally satanic. Everything was about Satan. And I was like,
that's what they call the toes, the underneath the toes. It looks like baby shrimp for little ones. It looks like, that's why they call it shrimping, sucking on the toes. You ever know anybody who has a foot fetish and they're trying to kiss your feet? You're like, hey, do you want to be alone? Like, can you imagine what it's like having a foot fetish? Like, would they want the rest of your body, or they just want your feet? Like, no, really, do you guys need a room? Like, yeah, no, crazy stuff, right? But so you're talking about foot fetishes. These people are kinky. Now, I didn't go into the kink. I didn't want to blow Nicholas's mind either, right? Because I know I have that ability to blow people's minds. But when you start talking about, when I was talking about that woman who was coming on to me, right? She has a friend who uses a cane. And every time she's with me, she accentuates her limp. So I'm going to talk about, let's do a couple kink fetishes here, right? And I'm assuming she's trying to get me to feel sorry for her because look at my limp. I want something from you, but I didn't. Now, in hindsight, this person told me about her story, I realized she wanted something from me. All right, they're all bisexual. She was wiggling her ass for me. But there's a crip fetish. People who like disabled people because why? They feel powerful over them, or people are using their canes or walkers as a prop. There's another one, the dwarfs, like the little people.
Mm-hmm.
They have little people fetishes, and the little people are getting pissed off about it because they're thinking they're getting into a genuine relationship. What does the person want to have sex with a little person for? Why? Give you feeling of power? Like, what is this? Right. So there's a lot of kinky shit going on out there. Right. And I can't believe I'm talking about some of this, but at the same time, we have to understand how weird it is because I think
it's part of the strange. We talked about the planes and the flying cars. Now we're on the strange.
And we're on the strange, right? So, and we can all, they're weirdos. Friggin' right, they're weird, right? Like, it's not, where's the love in all of this? It was all the mechanics of sex is what all the fetishes are. It's just
the fetish has nothing to do with love and intimacy.
Nothing. This is what we're pointing out.
It's actually obsession. That is usually mental illness. Sorry, but
you can't tell them that because if they're psychos, they'll hurt you.
I know, but it is. It's an obsession. It's like OCD.
There's something wrong, right? If you would rather. So if somebody was telling me that they know, I'm not going to say the connection, but a roommate is in university and she wears socks and sells them around the world. She said she owns $5,000 purses. She's obviously not claiming Revenue Canada. What do you do for a living? I sell my socks.
My dirty, stinky socks.
Yeah. So that's what people want. What you want the smell of it. So what is it wrong with their neurological system that is what turns them on? Now, who said that the idea behind abuse is to switch pleasure and pain?
And I've heard it. I don't know.
Yeah, I can't remember who said that. So when you start looking at this, so fetishes are pleasure, fetishes are love, and love is to be discounted. So have they been put through some sort of I don't want to say a program, but how do they get their wiring backward? Is there something being programmed? I won't say in the water, but you never know. But is it being programmed into the system, the electronics or whatever, that kink is king kind of thing, right?
The Olympics with the women's outdoor volleyball, itsy bitsy bottoms, soon to be G strings. Well, that'll be interesting since they're going to let men do it. So where are they going to put their
hairy
G
asses.
in that string?
Anybody got
Sorry,
English for hairy bones?
you know they're going to need more than a string to cover up all that stuff.
We're gonna have,
I'm just saying they need a
especially
little
if
sap.
they're still intact and have their scrotum and their boy parts intact, right? They're gonna need something a little bigger than that. Maybe they'll come up with some sort of a glove for the front of it or something. Who knows?
Yeah.
This is how perverted everything is getting perverted, and that's the idea behind the strange. That the more perverted you are, the more desirable maybe that you are, or the more influence you have. I don't know, right? And I'm just putting that out there.
Yep. Hey, let's be real. This world is strange, fucked up, messed up, and everything is upside down. It's like a corkscrew. I mean, you can't even find it's like maybe like spaghetti, all messed up. You can hardly find the end anymore because they have jumbled this all up so much. You're having to pick through everything. Okay, like, where the fuck is the truth anymore?
And this is where we have to go in and find it. And that's why I was kind of had some fun this morning with myself, just sitting out there in the back deck. And I can't remember what I was going through. And I don't know, I was just checking messages or whatever. And then all of a sudden I started asking questions. But this is the positive aspect of brainstorming. So sometimes you'll say something and you come up with one thing and you tell people about it. And then all of a sudden they add another piece to it. And you're like, I never thought of that. And Betty and I were talking. This is how we started laughing. Are you going to tell them about the train side of this? This is
well, you got to do your part.
Okay, so this is when we're talking about Gitmo, and I'm like, none of this makes sense. And we're trusting all these people and blah, blah, blah. And they say, get on the train and get on the Trump train and all these things. And then Betty came in with her.
Oh, no, actually, you were saying that we're standing on and you can hear the train coming. I can hear the train coming.
That one. Okay, so we're talking about trains. So I'm a kind of person, I see things and sometimes it's hell. I would rather not see and not ask the questions, but that's just not the way my mind works. So I'm the person, if you're on a train track and you're on a spot where it's hard to get off the track, I'm the one going, hear the train coming, trains coming, trains are coming, trains are coming, trains are coming. And I know some people who don't have a clue it's coming, they get smacked by the train, get up and go, what the heck was that?
I said, well, what if we've been on the train's actually coming, but it's on the other track? We're waiting for it.
And we're waiting for it.
And I actually was liking that too. And it was much funnier because it was really in the moment. We were talking about all these people saying, oh, this is coming, this is coming, this is coming. Like, be careful. This is coming. This is what's getting done. And it's like, you're listening. It's like, the train's coming, the train's coming, train's coming. And it doesn't come. Train's coming, train's coming, train's coming. Smack. Train's coming. And it's like, and we're all standing there waiting, listening for the train. And then it whips by on the other. It's like, oh, that's not our train. It whips by. And I'm like, what the hell?
It is so funny because that would be just the way
That's
it
exactly
is, right?
what we've gone through for the last year and a half. Everybody telling us, oh, this is going to happen. This is going to be exposed. This, and we're listening for it. We're waiting for it. We're watching. We're all in anticipation. And it's like, you hear it coming. Yeah, it's going to come out. It's going to come out. Pew! The train goes by. It's like, yeah, that wasn't ours. It was something else.
In here, and we paid full baggage. We paid our fare to get on the train. We paid everything. We've given up things. We've made sacrifices. We've made changes. And it's like, and we're still standing there with our ticket ready to board. And it's like, what the heck? And the train's going the other way.
Yeah. Different train.
It was good for a laugh.
It was actually really hilarious in the moment. Sorry, guys, but that's our trains part of the show. So now we've done planes, strange, and the train, and hopefully we have the train now. It's our train. Hopefully, we're all standing there with the right ticket, with the right train coming.
Yeah.
Because man, I'm tired. I am so tired. I think everybody in this movement is tired. I haven't given up. I have not given up. I still trust. I still believe. I still think we need to move forward. A huge part of this is building our strength in ourselves. One of the things that Penny Kelly and Jason, I think his name is, we're talking about, in August, they're referencing that, how many times the 17th letter of the alphabet said, put the full armor of God on. And it actually is like next week, the 10th through the 12th.
10th through the 12th, right.
And I think you can feel it because we're really coming to where the rubber hits the road. The rubber hits the road right now, because all of this shit that they're talking about, the forced FDA supposedly is going to make it approved, which is ridiculous.
Which, if they make it approved, then they're liable if it's got toxins. We don't know for sure, right?
What's anybody liable for right now? They actually are not liable because they all have these protections. But fraud vitiates everything. So it's just a matter of proving the fraud.
And that could be what it is too, right? And because I'm saying I don't believe everything that's going on. I don't believe everything that's going on, but it doesn't mean there's still not good people in charge doing certain things, right? So planes, trains, and automobiles. What Betty and I were talking about was, do you remember in the movie when they got two trains coming on either side and they're all in the car and they hanging onto the dash and they all turn to skeletons, and then they all come back after the trains pass and they're back in their human shape? I have a feeling when you talk in the armor of God, that's what we're going to go through next week, right?
Yeah.
I'm wondering.
Well, what we're going to go through, and this is why we need to stay strong. And you know, on Monday, SRS, because it's just quicker to say SRS. You're right. We need to find those, like, you know, do your meditations, do your prayers, be in nature. You can't do that 24/7. But and anxiety is going to get to you. That's why you need to find that thing you can focus all your energy on. I was watching Ted Nugent last night on David, and he was talking about, and he was perfect when he was talking about crossbow hunting, right? And when you have that bow, and he pulled out one of the bows, and he goes, "You're out there, and you're aiming for your target. Absolutely nothing else in the world. Your whole world goes from out here to here.
Focus, totally.
And that's what we have to do. So do the things that you enjoy. If it's knitting, absolutely go knit. If it's tending to your garden, do your garden. If it's cooking, do your cooking. And I know Krista, sorry, I won't bring up cooking, but I will be doing I'm actually going to do some recipes and soon. I'm actually just getting that set up and how I can do it. And
keep your sense of humor. So you know what I just did today? I went and bought canned jam. My birthday's next week, and I know Ken's not on. Him and I share the same birthday, right? So I bought canned jam. And if anybody wants to look it up, KAMJAM, Cam Jam. Sorry, KANJAM. And what it is, it's a frisbee game that you throw a frisbee, and you don't have to have any athletic skills. But I thought if the power goes out, I'm going to go and just ask I'll go knock on the door and say, hey, you want to play a game? Get one of the neighbors out there. And I bought two of them so that we can have four people playing this game. And if it is so funny watching people die for this frisbee and trying to knock it in the can, but it's something, if the hydro goes out, it doesn't require any kind of electronics to make it work. But something just told me a friend is going on vacation starting today, and I had told her to get it because it's just something that's fun to do. But find the little games that are that will keep you busy: card games, board games, outdoor games.
Anything that keeps, takes your focus away from what's actually happening, though we do need to know, but you can't live your life in that space.
No.
And we can pray, meditate. We've got to look at, part of that whole like flying cars is I'm now making that happen. And all of us who are talking about it and thinking about it and actually seeing with like a little flying car, like the Jetsons flying up to your house going, okay, where are we going to go next? And the fact that we can all meet, we all have, in a couple of years, we all have our flying cars. We can just pick a location. We all fly to it. Doesn't matter where you live because we have flying cars.
And they say you can travel the world in minutes, like the underwater trains and the underground trains that even move under the oceans. Whether that's true or not, who knows? But I don't think things are, the time-space continuum is an illusion that we've been programmed to believe, although I can't articulate why, how, or what's going to change, right?
So but we've got it. SRS is right. We have to keep a sense of humor and laugh as much as we can. And that's why, when oh my gosh, we had a really good laugh on that whole train thing. And Sandy was like, you got to write that down. That was really good. Like, I do have some really good one-liners. I don't know.
We have amazing one-liners, right?
I've always.
I'm usually pretty good with
one-liners. It's just like, boom. And like, I don't know.
And we have to get back to that because they're fun. Look at things a little differently. Like even things that aren't funny, sometimes you can make a joke about it and just realize, like Franken babies, what are they doing with these feet?
Well, if we don't joke about all the crazy that's going on, I mean, we will go nuts. And I know it's not funny, like Krista said, no, it's not funny.
not
And
funny.
these sleepers are what's causing this to be delayed. And I
I'm
get
getting
that, but what
they,
can I do? I have put the information out. I have printed stuff off. I've given them documentation. If they choose not to believe it, I can't do shit.
and
All
that's
right.
like when people say
Everybody
God let
has
the
free will.
yes,
So,
and then somebody posted when God lets people let the children suffer. God didn't let them suffer. It's the fucking sleepers who are still doing it. And I was in court on Wednesday, and it's about a little girl that says her father was touching her, but in 5 days she went full-time care from the mother to the father's house. This is how they do it in Children's Aid Society. And we're in the courtroom, and then so there's the father's lawyer, his assistant. Behind the father's lawyer is the children's lawyer sitting beside the father, who has the child is the one who said he was abusing her. Behind her is the children's aid lawyer, and they keep referring to each other as friends. And I'm sitting here watching the judge. I can send "fuck you" energy, and I can send "come on, buddy, we're all eyes are on you" energy. And I'm sitting here watching him because I was taking notes for the mother, right? So, anyways, and the judge is looking at her, and I'm right behind him, and I'm looking at him. Doesn't he call a recess? They all take off. You know where I think they went? All up to his judge's chambers to figure out what they're going to do to make this work, because he wasn't getting past the mother. This is how corrupt it is. So some people are sleeping and some people are just evil. So then when they're gone, I started talking about judge pedophiles and judges having sex with children, because the two court clerks are still in the room. I'll tell you, they didn't talk to each other. They were quiet as a mouse. And I can make my voice quiet, or I can speak a little louder so that there's no doubt that anybody can hear me. At one point, I'm snickering at the games that are going on. The court official comes in and says, "You have to stop laughing. We can hear your microphone." Do you know what I mean? Like, so sometimes we have to get in there and just make it so obvious that you people are evil, what you're doing, and we're on to you.
yep.
So some are sleeping and some are evil, right?
Yep.
So anyways, I was going to talk about orange calcite. This came out yesterday for somebody, and it's such a beautiful stone for helping clear your sacral chakra, where your emotions are held. So I've got a few of the orange calcite, and I didn't put them away. But sometimes, like, this is considered a palm stone. You can sleep with some of these just on your abdomen if you're napping on the couch. Just help clear my energy, clear my anxiety, clear my worries, clear my uncertainty about what's going on in the future, and then be sure to run them underwater afterwards to clear that energy and restore them to their highest good, right?
Yep.
There's so many things we can do.
Yep. And, I'm going to actually just go back to that whole like laughing and having a sense of humor through this, because let's be real. Sometimes I have to laugh at the stupidity of people walking down the street with, double diapers on their face and like out in like fresh air. I mean, yeah, it's sad, but I'm like, I've actually started to laugh. It's like, you're such a fucking idiot.
When
like,
you start laughing, that's the one thing evil does not like, because
exactly.
they get embarrassed. So you walk up to somebody who has a foot fetish and you laugh at them, you be prepared to duck, or like they're going to do something to you, because now you're pointing out that they're not normal, because they're only normal if you don't challenge them. It's ridiculous, right?
It's right there. They're being ridiculous. And to find the humor in their ridiculousness actually takes the power away from them.
Totally.
Right? So getting angry gives them power. Laughing at what an idiot you are takes the power away from them. So it doesn't make it any less serious. It just means you're taking their power away by showing them the ridiculousness of their actions in a way that isn't like, well, maybe it might feel confrontational to them, but you aren't yelling at them. You aren't saying anything or calling them names. You're just laughing.
And look at, so SRS is talking about watching the people in the cars. Those people who are blocking off their oxygen technically are a danger to everybody else, but you still laugh at them. You still mock them.
Yeah.
Right?
Absolutely.
Totally.
You got to find the humor in this crazy world. And sometimes the humor is the crazy that they're doing.
You point it out.
Instead of getting upset. And I used to get so upset that I did not laugh for months and months and months, because I was just so in this. And now the last few months, I have found the humor in all of this craziness. And when I laugh at it, it actually takes it lifts it off of me. So who cares about what it's doing to them? It lightens your load. Heaviness of it off of me, because I have now lightened it to a joke.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And you'll see, if you start to look at like the visor and that and two of them plus that and goggles, like Why don't you just wear a fucking hazmat suit? Like, come on, people. Come on. You're not doing enough.
So we should get
Come
some people
on.
who do
You have a
ceramics.
hazmat suit. Let's get garbage bags and cut them up and put them around you. I'll help you.
Wrap them in saran wrap if you haven't got a hazmat suit, right? Help
Hey,
them
and
wrap
you might lose a couple pounds wrapped in saran wrap. Sweat it out.
I know. So what do we start doing? Getting people who do ceramics to start making feet sculptures so that we can start saying, hey, do you want a foot? Do we start a new business that rubberized feet instead of dummies? Like, you know what I mean? Instead of the blow up dolls, just the feet, you know?
Yeah, you need to make them rubber so that they can sock them. Ceramic isn't going to cut it.
Shrimp flavored too, of course, right?
Huh?
Shrimp flavored as well.
Yeah, I hope they don't smell though.
Well, they have to smell or they wouldn't be into them, right? So what's it about your feet odors? That like, who's into armpits? You know?
Oh, who's into armpits?
Yes, Amber. Hope your daughter's wedding goes off without a hitch.
Yes.
It could be a powerful day for them to get married if they're centered and balanced and grounded. It can be a powerful day for their wedding too, right?
In New York City, had a guy had a Nike shoe over his face in a deli. That's hilarious.
So these are all laugh. We all laugh about these, right?
We have to. You have to find the humor in the crazy. Otherwise, it will make you crazy. So it really, and it does it. Just makes it lift off of you. All that anger and frustration lifts when you just laugh at it.
And be curious.
It takes the power away from it.
Yes. And be curious, right? So is what we're being told true? Seriously, about Cuba? Seriously? So these people have been ostracized and they've lost everything and they've been basically slaves all this time when they could have liberated that country years
ago.
So let's start calling it what it is. So if there's good or bad in the military, it doesn't matter if the messages that anybody's speaking along this line gets to them.
Yeah.
If you're good or you're the bad, it doesn't matter. You have a responsibility to help liberate those people, especially since you have a military base there. You don't have a deal with the government in Cuba. And I started thinking, is Castro really another Saddam Hussein? Like CIA put Saddam Hussein in, so they say. Did they put Castro in play? Like, it's all bullshit, right? The whole thing is a
lie. What's his name? Hussein was actually executed because he was actually not doing what they wanted.
He changed his
tune and went, oh no, I'm going to liberate my people and give them more. And they knew he did
no good deed goes unpunished.
I know. But what's his name? Castro. He never did that. They've always kept the people under their thumb. And so there was never a change of heart.
So maybe they wanted the virgin land. So they didn't have, so when I was away, I was in 3G energy. And when I was at a park and then down to the water, there wasn't any internet coverage at all. So I could feel what the land felt like. And I know that when I was in Cuba, you could feel different things depending on where you were. You didn't have the coverage of the internet, right? But so they keep that land virgin because they're still in bed because we know whose father Fidel is. So we
got him. We got the illegitimate son. Whoop whoop.
So I'm not saying so it doesn't mean Castro wasn't in bed with them, but he didn't get to liberate the people. He chose not to. I agree with what you're saying there, but the land is still virgin. Most of the land in Cuba has not been what do you call it? Like it hasn't been industrialized or hasn't been changed, right? It's still the mountains and what have you, the ranges.
No, it's beautiful. It is actually really a beautiful country.
It is absolutely.
And they really limited who could actually build there. And I think Spain was really the big one that most hotels and things were.
Yes, they developed was the word I was looking for, right?
They did a lot of the development there. I mean, Havana, my gosh, dirty. I'm gonna be honest, a little dirty.
I haven't been there.
Beautiful city. Like I've always wanted, I've gone for day trips there twice. And I was like, next time I go, I'm going to stay in the city because that's where you really get the flavor of the people and the culture and the history, not in a beach resort.
Yes and no. It depends on what they've got. You really have to choose your where you're staying wisely, right? Do they have a pool?
Absolutely. But in a city, it's a very different thing than a beach resort. You know, you definitely will get more of a flavor of their life in a city over the beach resort that is customized for the tourist.
It depends on what you want, right? So some people want the
Yeah.
beach, and some people want the flavor of the people.
I like the flavor of the people. I've always
I like
wanted.
both.
Yeah.
I like both.
Well, it's an
Somebody's making
island.
a
The
comment.
water's always close by,
Totally, right?
right?
So SRS is making a comment about Saddam Hussein, and if anybody saw the picture of when they pulled Saddam out of that little, what do you call those holes where he's underground? He's in a little spot. They pulled him out. He had like bunny in the headlight look. He could not believe what was happening. Of course not, because he was one of them. So you start, in hindsight, when you see the facial expressions, you can start to see other things too, right? Right. So you
Yeah.
start seeing other possibilities for why that look is on their face.
So SRS is the one thing we've got going for us is our anthem because it's easy to sing. And you know what? I would give up that fucking easy anthem for freedom. maybe George Michael's song Freedom could be our anthem. Right across North America. Let's bring it on. Maybe we need to just change them all.
Yeah.
Right?
So, I don't believe we're a country, whether I'm right or
We're
wrong.
not a country.
Irrelevant, right? It doesn't matter. It's just my opinion, right? But time is going to tell
I
with
think
a lot of it.
my personal hope is SRS will all be one happy little family and country in the next couple of years. That is my hope. That is actually what I put out there on a constant basis because I've spent a lot of time in the U.S., been to more than half of the states, and I love the people. And it's really not that different culturally. You know,
It's not that different.
No, it's not that different. Very similar customs and things.
That's hilarious. Our song should be Three Blind Mice.
See how they run. See how they run. I can actually see those
exactly
people
the humor.
with their thingies on running. They're three blind mice down the street.
Mask over their eyes.
Yep. They got their blindfold. It's like this, the monkeys, right? Hear no evil, see no evil, speak no evil. Yeah. That's basically what they want us to be, right? Those three little monkeys.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, you can't shut us up. Okay, but
everybody's got the
taste. Can't get used to vinegar on French fries. Oh, yummy. I love vinegar on my French fries. Sorry.
This is really good that we're keeping a sense of humor and we're joking about things today and laughing, even though things are getting stranger and stranger. And it's maybe not that it's stranger, that we're just seeing it for the strangeness it is.
Yeah, more and more.
Right.
Because the scale, I mean, they're showing themselves more. You're definitely seeing it. That's why I think some of the things that are coming out now actually have more credence than they did 6 months ago, a year ago, on what's coming. Because it's really amping up both the disinformation and the information. They're clashing right now. They're clashing, you know, with what happened in Alberta, you know, the Senate hearings with, you know, Pipsqueak doctor there with an F, you know, his name. He looks like a, you know.
He looks like a rat, speaking of mice.
Yeah.
Face, right?
I mean, he's had to admit a lot of stuff and he's gotten, you know, pretty antsy. I think all of that's really telling. We're seeing it. It's more and more and more and more is getting exposed. And hey, if this is a month of some crazy shit going down, and I think it's like the next 3 to 4 months, there's going to be a lot happen. I just feel it in my bones too. Cause that 2 weeks was like, I said to Sandy, I'm like, I'm feeling like, you know, there was all that anxious energy for a while. I think everybody was feeling it. And then all of a sudden it was like calm, peace. And I'm like, nothing's really ruffling my feathers. What's going on? And I said, what if this is the calm before the storm? And we are now in the eye of that center of hurricane season in the U.S. Right? It goes from June to November. Well, August, September is right in the center of that. And this is when we get the worst storms, right? As we go from the hot to the cold fronts, right? Hitting with fall coming in. This is where, you know, I think if we're not in the storm, we are just about to walk into the storm.
And I like what Cliff High says, if you don't know your role yet, just sit it out. So I don't know what 100% my role is, but I know I have certain things that I'm here to do. And many of us do here. And what I'm saying is just sit it out. Don't feel you have to jump into something because you see something happening. What I do like about what Betty, what you just mentioned, Betty, when you said last week was calm for you, it was calm for me as well. And what I like is energetically, I could feel the calm. I could feel with the not having the interference of the electromagnetic frequencies to the same degree. But now that I'm back home, I can feel it, and it's okay. I can handle it. I can vibrate higher than it. But the idea is that we can feel what's going in our body. We know when we need to panic. When I
Yeah.
say panic, like prepare, maybe you have 2 minutes to do something, right? Or know when it's okay just to go out for a walk and be in nature. Know when it's okay to sit under a tree. Know when you want to calm yourself down. Know when you need to get excited and get something done. But be able to feel what's going on in your body. That's going to be where we go, I think, going forward.
Yeah, absolutely. Um,
A lot
so,
of people
so
knew
as far
that.
as have you had a dream about what's coming now?
A lot of
You
people had
obviously
a
have
dream.
prophetic dreams. Let us know.
A
And
lot of people
actually,
knew
if
the
we're
towers
not
were coming down.
here, join us on Telegram, because I actually there's a link to Sandy, Patty, and myself. Yesterday, just like we said on Wednesday, we were going to create a Telegram channel. It's down there. The link, join, and
Just if anything happens on our YouTubes or our Facebooks or whatever, that maybe
always
is
know where to find
another
us.
place. Yeah.
And I'll also be posting on there any videos and things that we reference. It's better than here in the description box, because they don't
They're
like, especially
watching
if it's
now.
on
They're watching.
BitChute or another thing. Also, just as a reminder too, I did set up an Odyssey account because I think if I get enough points, so all on a point system there, may be able to go live. So if things go sideways here, it's just another place to be. So please sign up there. I'm just starting to load up uh, all my old videos.
And I'm going to open a channel in Odyssey as well. We just need some backup that doesn't hinder us, because we still have to watch what we say here, right?
Yeah, big time.
I like SRS is saying she had a dream with Trump 3 days ago. It was all positive. So many people are recognizing they're having dreams with Trump in them. I've had two. I don't know if it was a year ago, and there's nothing major happened. He didn't come up and speak to me, but he was just do. So we don't know if this is we're being programmed in our dream state, because so
Mhm.
many people are having Trump dreams. I'm not looking at it that I'm special, and I'm not saying you are. You're just sharing information. We don't know if they can influence our dreams or not at this point. So it's okay just to pay attention to everything, and it's all going to be positive. It's going to be positive for some people, but not others. We know by the
Yeah.
food shortages, that's not going to be positive for some people. We know who was it? We were watching the video. I watched that video you talked about with Penny yesterday,
Yeah,
Betty,
yeah, yeah.
and she said one community, they poisoned their water. They made them all sick. So it's not going to be
And then it
oh,
was an oopsie. Sorry, we
of
made a
course it's
mistake.
easier to ask for forgiveness than permission, right? So that's all part of the game the psychos play. It's like in Walkerton when they had the E. coli outbreak, 7 people died. You looked at the guys, the two brothers, and they're like, they had no idea that they were supposed to do anything different. I think they planted the water because there's so many artesian wells in that area. People have their own well water. They wanted them on city water so they can control everybody. They let 7 people die for that. And how many people got sick?
Yeah.
But trust the system.
And
Oh,
there's no repercussions for the people who actually let this happen.
no.
That's the
And they're always
problem. Is
hidden.
that you just say, "Oops, it was a glitch. I'm sorry." I'm like, you know what? Sorry doesn't cut it when people die.
No.
If
Nobody's
I
accountable.
did that, if
You'd be
I
accountable.
did that, I would be in jail. Now you did that, and all you say is sorry.
And this is where
So
the rules apply for thee are different than the other people that are in the system. And like I said, this judge, like you're going to leave this girl in the hands, and they're not following the shared access orders. And he just sat and lied and looked for every possible way to blame the mother. And it's like, you think I'm here because I got nothing better to do? Am I there for the child? Partly, but I want to see how this game is played. So when the
mhm.
truth comes out, when they start standing up and saying, but, we can call them on their shit.
Yep.
Right. So I'm not here for the higher ups or anything like that, but I do believe that the middle ground is where this game is going to be. The biggest impact is going to be made with the average people, because most of us are average. Like I said, we're the normal ones, but
Yep.
the abnormal ones are called the normies, and it's like no. There's nothing normal about them.
Well, they are what we call, they're the ones that are called normal, because in this system,
Yes.
in this system, that's what you're supposed to be. God damn it, Sandy. Why did you wake up and start to see this shit?
And ruined
Shame
our
on you.
world.
Shame on you, Sandy. Okay? That is not the way it's supposed to be. That's not how the game is played. That is not how we set this up. Okay? Enough.
Bring on
Go
the
back to
can
sleep.
jam.
Go back to sleep so we can do the shit we want.
And we can have money. It's because
That's why they're called normal,
world.
because they're like, okay, we'll go back to sleep.
Right?
We're happy being little sheep. Will just make sure I have all the things I want.
Because it's a material world. As Madonna.
Yes, I just want my stuff. I want to be able to smell my smelly socks and and I know people also sell their smelly underwear too, which is
I can
disgusting.
imagine. You know what I mean?
But it's like that's normal. That's normal. What we're doing abnormal.
What? You want love in your life? Well, that's abnormal. You want to have loving society and a loving community. You know, everybody says more love and be loving, unconditionally loving. The average person isn't the problem. It's the people in the system who are the ones who are the control freaks, whether it's police knocking you down with batons, whether it's politicians stealing your money and causing you grief, whether it's the medical system who's trying to make you sick, or the pharmaceuticals. You know what I mean?
Yeah, the whole thing is like fucked up. And Amber watched Nino and Juana, and yeah, it does sound like, and you know, I watched it a second time. I didn't get to finish it the second time. I got about halfway through. But in the first little bit, he says, you know, these things are going to ramp up in days and weeks. And I was like, I missed that the first time, the days part. And I was like, I thought it was weeks and it was days. And I'm like, okay. So and that's why it's so important to actually have fun with this, because we will go nuts if we don't have a little bit of fun with it. Yeah. All right. You got to lighten up in the thick of it. If we don't find a sense of humor, we're not going to survive, because you will go absolutely nuts. So, you know, you might think we're just making small of it. It's not. I understand. Sandy understands this, like the stakes here. The stakes are for
everything. Our sovereignty, but our soul, the very essence of us as human beings is what is at stake here. But you got to laugh. And I know I did videos with Miles years ago, and I'm like, so they're trying to kill us. So what? The only difference is now we know. They've been doing it for years.
Yeah.
Now we know.
Yeah.
That's what the only difference is, we know, right?
Yeah.
So what are we going to do about it? We're going to laugh about it. We're going to stand up for ourselves. We're going to psychically send energy out there. Like you said, the flying cars, what we want, what we expect.
What do we want? Yeah. We want to be healthy. I want to have clean water, clean air, all their bullshit gone, all of the fossil fuels gone, free energy. My car does not need gasoline. You know, right? And that, you know what, I can be anywhere, anytime. We know our path. We're actually building a better life. And, you know, having our own gardens or communal gardens, feeding each other, making sure we're, you know, that community. We need to get back to that community.
Yes, the community gardens are a great idea. So SRS is talking about people blowing a gasket and shooting up the stores. I think some of that is that they've been programmed. Who is that, Timothy?
I think those are
and some of them are, right? So I know.
Wave in the air.
Hang on, some are and some aren't. One of my clients in Colorado, she said that somebody went in and shot up 10 people in the grocery store last year. So she's getting everything delivered. But so I'm assuming they know people within their city that happened to, right?
Well, you have to.
People, look at Timothy McVeigh, the Oklahoma bomber. He went in, one of the youngest students went into, I think, Harvard, where Millie went to school, right? He went in, and they get into these psych programs, and they go into these studies because universities can't figure anything out. So every year they need new fodder, new minds that they can destroy. So they put him in some sort of a programming, and they figure he went in and did the killing because he was programmed. So I don't know all the answers. I'm not saying it's all one size.
That's what I was going to say. Actually, I don't remember. It actually might have been, it doesn't matter where it was, but basically they have a map of every community in the world, and there are MK Ultras plants in every community that are triggered to do shit like that.
Totally.
That is not a normal human being action to go and shoot people up. Okay.
I'm so mad at the government. So I would never. Like, that doesn't make sense. I'm so mad.
This is all MK Ultras being triggered to do bad stuff.
So I'm saying that they're so upset with the government that they're going to go into the grocery store and shoot the guy at the banana counter. Like, come
Yeah.
on now. Like, there's no logic that that would be
No.
the consequence to their being upset. If they were going to be upset, they would go to the government buildings and fire a round or two into the windows or whatever, right? They wouldn't be going after the average people. So we have to look at their stories of how these flags even happen and what the motive is of the shooter. And they always shoot the shooter. I watched Manchurian Candidate when I was on holidays, and Meryl Streep was in it. And I personally think she was Hillary, although she had a son in the movie. It looked like she was doing the deed with her son, but the exact same thing. They were talking about doing an assassination. She goes, they always shoot the shooter. That's just how it's done. And she just came right out in the movie and said, they always shoot the shooter. Of course they do. You look at anybody so that it's like a mafia style hit, right? Then there's nobody can ask them why they did what they did, right? Have a great day, Teresa. That's for everybody too, right? Thanks for joining us. I know you're having a special time to yourself right now. So
yes, really Teresa, thanks for joining. I know you've been really busy and not able to join the last little bit live, but beautiful to see your name. I was going to say to see your face.
Hey, she's
one day. I hope to see your face. One day, I do hope to see your face. And here's the deal, guys.
Everybody.
What were we talking about? I had I have to start writing things down when you're talking.
Manchurian Candidate and how it was they shoot the shooters and that kind of stuff, or was it before that?
No, it was before that. I just before that. I had
McVeigh, that they're going and shooting up the grocery stores because they're mad at the government. Like that doesn't make sense. The consequence doesn't match the what do you call it? The
no, it was SRS's comment. You can see it in their eyes. Absolutely, for years, even before I was really dived into all this stuff. I've always said, have you ever noticed there are people around? I call them buggy-eyed. People who, don't blink. They always and I remember I was in New Orleans actually with a client and having dinner, and we became really good friends. And he was just divorced, starting to date, and so he's like, any suggestions? And I'm like, yeah, don't date anybody buggy-eyed. And he's like, who is buggy-eyed? And I was like, our waiter is buggy-eyed. Watch. When he comes over, I'm like, watch, he doesn't blink. Eyes are like this all the time. And you see people like that everywhere. They're just like, don't date a buggy-eyed person. There's something up there. There's something up. I don't trust buggy-eyed people. Adam Schiff is a buggy-eyed person.
Oh okay? My goodness, Betty, you're discriminating against people.
No, it's something with their eyes. They don't blink. There's something messed up there.
That's shifty shift, right?
Yeah. Pencil neck. What a world we live in. I mean, hey, I'm just saying that might be one of the ways to distinguish these MK Ultras. Some of them
I'm not 100% sure, because I was at a coffee shop one time and we were talking about the person I was with, we were talking about some really out there things, and this guy comes right in, sits behind me, and I knew right away he came in to hear what we were talking about. And he was dressed in a gray suit, short cropped hair, and then we let it rip about, my God, can you imagine if we were talking about socks? That might have been fucking hilarious, right? But anyways, and stinky feet. But anyways, so he listened to us, and then somebody else comes in, almost identical suit, gray suit, short hair. They didn't go up and get coffee or any kind of food or beverages. And so we figured they were there just to hear us. But how would they know that we were going to be there and what we were going to talk about? So I figure there's something out there that's monitoring.
Well, if you have your cell phone on you, they know where you are at all times.
I went to bed 3 nights ago, Maybe that was nice talking to you, but when did we finish? Just after 11. So I went to bed and it was 11:30 and I was still awake. And I always have my blinds open because I like to see the stars and what have you, right? And there were still planes flying at 11 o'clock at night, and they were flying they would fly, and then 2 minutes later, another one would come in. These are the low flying planes that are sending out frequency. So are they still peppering the sky? Is it good frequency or bad frequency? It wasn't near me. It was the other side of the town I'm in, but you could see them just going in. So what? And everybody says, oh, there's a flight school over here at the local airport. At 11:30 at night, they're flying planes because they're learning how to land. It's all bullshit, right? Everything, really question everything that you're hearing.
Oh, and I've seen helicopters the last few nights. I'm hearing helicopters. I actually went out and could see one actually was quite high. But a helicopter going on, this isn't normal helicopter path for anything,
And you never know. So even the emergency helicopters where they land if there's an accident and fly, what do they call, like the medical helicopters? They still have a flight path they normally follow, a
Yeah.
different one.
Yeah. The emergency evacs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So look at that. All white planes have no markings on them. And that is so interesting because there's so many white transport trucks that are peppered in different places around the cities, Toronto, KW, like all these places. And they don't have much of a logo or all have small logos in the back. And I'm wondering if they're just going to rip them off or even just put another one over top of it that says Red Cross or UN. You know what I mean? Like these guys are they're prepared, and we have to be prepared too, right? Get stocked up and don't go out for a couple of days if you don't have to. So
Yeah.
crazy stuff.
Yeah. We just have to be careful. Be careful out there because, and look we can't stop what's coming.
No.
And if I remember correctly, hey, Sandy, what you got back there?
Buzzing has been buzzing a couple times. The new DNA, or our DNA is coming active too. So all of a sudden we're picking up things. Look at this. Now it's my back, but we're picking up different energies. And all of a sudden, if you're noticing you're touching the back of your head, you've got an implant again, maybe that's in there, ask if it's in your best interest, if you put it there or not. But I'm starting to notice I'm waking up, and then I'm waking up to thoughts and I'm thinking, that was so profound. Write it down, because if you're like me, you're going to forget it like 20 minutes later.
Yeah.
But so we're waking up as well as the darkness is happening. So we trust ourselves that this is what they don't want us to do, is to wake up to see these higher energies. Look at that. Same thing.
No. That's because I'm actually having a hot flash.
Oh, are you?
My hands are cold. I'm actually trying to cool my neck down. Yes, it's wonderful to be a middle-aged woman. Gotta love it.
It is, thank goodness, because we're smarter than we used to be.
Yes.
Look at the bright
side. You're right. And Patty and I talked about DNA and the DNA coming on, and that's part of the agenda of the V's to stop you from being able to take on. At least that's how I feel about it. It was just like, holy crap! It's not about disconnecting you from God so much as
it's part of it.
Not allowing you to evolve to who we're supposed to be. And as we get this. Our DNA increases, we get these new strands, so does our awareness, right? So all of these things that we're actually hoping to get from other people when we're looking at truthers and stuff, we're going to get it intuitively. The more we actually check into ourselves and grow, and it's coming. That's what they're trying to stop. I think, when we talked about the light codes, maybe it's not necessarily something we can see, but there is something coming through that is creating this increase in our DNA
awareness. And that is, so some people, you reference the God consciousness. It is the God consciousness, the creator, the connection to all that is. It's just God is a word that they've changed in religion. And using religion to hijack that creator energy. So both those scenarios are right. You guys did a great job on Wednesday. I did watch that video too.
You did? Okay.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah, it was
really a good video. You guys had a lot of great there and great insights, right? So it is about separating you from creator, because you are the creator. So it wants you to separate you from yourself and your higher knowing.
And bringing in that higher knowing on it, because that's what we're doing right now. I think each and every, and I see it even on the, all of you guys in the chat, even the chats over time. I have to say,
you guys know
we're all evolving together, and that's the beauty of this little family. And that's why, I really wanted to do that Telegram channel. I was like, I don't know how to do this. We figured it out yesterday. It didn't take very long. But it's Awaken Possibilities. There's a link below. Join. Any videos that we mention or think that are good, it's not going to be like everybody else's. I don't want like a ton of bombarded with the same news, but things that actually we think that is really good and worth watching. We'll post there.
Sharing the same information out there. So like I'll watch 5 people that I thought were all different. Now it's all coming out that they're all getting the information from the same sources and each other. Nothing wrong with that if that's what they want to do, but that information's already there. We want something different.
Yeah, it makes me think of, Romana Diddalo, which you call dildo.
Sorry. I can't believe people buy it.
It just kills me when every time I think of her, I think of dildos.
And I think of Bezos's rocket shaped like a penis. Like I sometimes I think they're just making fun
This
of
is
us.
like, it's just too funny. Like, how ridiculous is this? But anyways, you know, I've heard, like, because I do follow, because I'm a curious cat. I like to know things, and I, even if I don't believe, I'll just sit on the fence and I'll just like pay attention. I like to pay
Yeah, pay
attention.
attention, be curious.
And funny thing is I don't know how many times I've seen is like when anybody questions, including me, and I've questioned many times on there. I get, you know, I get lots of hate stuff. But some people actually have gone, and I'm like, yeah, I've been questioning it too. I've had a couple of those. But it's like, no, she's been verified by Gene Decode and Whiplash. And I'm like, who the fuck are they? I did, last time I knew, they don't work for the government. So where are they getting their stuff from? I need something better than, oh, and MilQ. And I'm like, I need something better than those three. Listen, I follow Whiplash, Gene, off and on. It's the same stuff all the time. But I'm not calling them. I'm calling them out, going, you would have absolutely no idea that this woman is the real deal or not.
No,
Sorry.
and so you have to use your own discernment. And Christine is also pointing out somebody else. It's okay if you watch those videos, but not everything is true in those either. And it's not, I have nothing against Patty at all, but you have to use your own discernment. She has done some work on the meridians that I actually sat there and took pictures of the screen, because I'm like, she's bang on, in my opinion. There's other things she says that I'm like, she says there's 6 planets that everybody's going to be taken off to a different planet. And they're going to separate the Muslims and the Christians and let them duke it out on another planet. Like, there's some things that aren't probable. I'm going to use the word probable. So I don't know. So it's okay to watch because there's great information, but it's up to each of us to discern what we get from anybody's videos, including these videos. Some people may not like us or what we have to say, right? And that's their prerogative.
Okay, Jack says pharmacy here got one of her cease and desist letters for the job. The owner of the pharmacy outed herself as really evil with her response to it on Twitter. And you know what? Hey, guess what? As of June 9th, and this is where I think she went totally wrong. As of June 9th, with the recall of the Emergency Act, that should have been with the cease and desist, because the courts have actually said no more.
What should be done? So
Those go together, the court, and we should have a copy of the court case where they, or whatever ruling from the court, should be attached to that cease and desist, so that it is a legal document. It's not just a cease and desist from someone who calls herself the queen. Right. You know, like I said, I call bullshit.
So why are the pharmacies not getting this information? Because from the courts, like if this is the truth of what's happened, so maybe they put the Stop the Emergency Measures Act to get them off the hook in the political arena.
Well, you know, kicker is it is on the Ontario website, and it is ontario.ca.gov. Yeah, I think something like that. Anyway, it takes some looking. Actually, a friend of mine, I had mentioned it to her. She went digging in the website. She said, it took me forever to find it, but I finally found it. But it is on there. It is on the government website that it has been revoked on June 9th. Yeah. That's all there is to it. They're not telling us. They're actually continuing to do their illegal activity. But if you were going to do, if Romana was going to do a cease and desist, it should have been married with the court order that revoked it. Absolutely. Otherwise, it has no teeth. All right. You got to have teeth to stuff. It's like, you don't have to have even a whole brain to figure that out. If you have a court order, you link the court order to it.
And court orders don't mean anything, but you're right. You do link it if that is her capacity, her official capacity, but it doesn't mean that the court orders are being honored anywhere in our court system either, right?
No, but if the court revoked it, then they need to know, and then they can, then they decide if they're going to go against the law. And because it is, everything they were doing is against the law, unless it was because of the Emergency Act, right, that gave them extra powers.
Right.
Actually didn't, because we still have rights, right? So everything they did was illegal, including the Emergency Act. Yeah. And that's every country. This isn't just Canada. So I'm, ripping on Canada, but this has happened everywhere. Yeah.
Lots of games, right? So keep our sense of humor and play our own fun games. And
yeah, we've just got to, you're right. We got to stand our ground. Their mandates, they're not laws, though they are pushing laws to make these things, I know here where I live, the mayor here wants to make the muzzles permanent indoors in a bylaw.
Yeah. Who's that, Bonnie? Is Bonnie your
Yeah.
mayor? Yeah.
Yeah.
So she's bought and paid for. There's no doubt. Not too many people like her. No wonder she keeps getting reelected, right? Talk about tormenting the
She was
people.
only elected once so far because it was Hazel forever and ever and ever. But she was Hazel's. She actually was Hazel mentored her for the role.
I've heard good and bad about Hazel too, but that's another story. We're going on an hour and a half now, right?
I know this was a good one though. I actually
Really
enjoyed
good.
today. We had some laughs. Hopefully
Appreciate everybody's
nobody was
input.
offended that it actually, yeah, you got to laugh at stuff. Life is too freaking short. We don't know how long this is going to be. We think this shit's going to hit the fan soon. Feels like it. I think we all feel like something's got to give. And, but we got to stay centered, like it said, put the armor of God on, whatever that means to you. Be out in nature, meditate. And then in the other times, because there's 24 hours in a freaking day, you can't meditate all day long while you're awake. I get that, but try to stay centered and stay focused on something. Do the things you love, whatever it is. Is it working on your car? Is it working in your garden? Is it tinkering around building stuff? Is it cooking? Is it, some people like cleaning. I hate cleaning. Some people like to clean. You know what? That might be your thing. Your house will be gleaming by the end of all this if you love cleaning. Yes. But hey, you can come to mine too. Help me out. I don't like it. I don't enjoy doing that. So, and I'll bake for you. I love to bake. And I will be starting some cooking stuff too. I will be on Monday on my own. And then in between, I will try to record something, a recipe of something. Maybe those bagels, maybe some bread. I actually did perfect my bread. And this one recipe does so many things.
Telling you like it is.
What?
Good. Not that you're bragging. Your bread is good.
Oh, my bread is good. Yeah.
So yeah, be proud of that, right? It's just very good.
Oh, and I have a really simple way to make sourdough. I remember everybody was failing throughout the lockdowns last fall. And then I happened upon, and I have tweaked it so it's more my own way to make it. No fail. I made one after another for other people. It's like, I couldn't make it. And I'm like, mine's working out perfect. And it keeps getting better and better and better. Oh my gosh. It's amazing sourdough. So I can do a starter. All kinds of stuff. I make all kinds of stuff.
On Monday. Yeah, I know.
No, that won't be on Monday. Monday will be, just live. Those I have to record because they're, I'll be in my kitchen, pulling something together.
There you go.
But I actually already created a playlist on cooking. So watch out for that next week. Within a week, we will start having stuff in that playlist.
There you go.
Share one of the things I love to do with you.
There you go.
Yes. All right.
Let's call it a day. 12:33. I love everybody. You guys are amazing. No, we've got this, even if it's uncomfortable. Put on they call the armor of God, creator, protection, practice your energy. Clear if you need to. Why am I scratching? Clear energies if you need to in your house. Somebody was here yesterday and I saw a little black thing come off her. Right. We got it out. Doesn't matter. But it's not the point. Some things are, we just need to be true to ourselves and the best version of ourselves and want the best for ourselves and everybody involved. Right.
Absolutely.
But this is, it's going to be an amazing week. I can sense it coming, right? This is coming.
Oh, yeah. Planes, strange, and automobiles. Love it. Lots of strange, that's for sure. Lots of strange. Totally. And keep focused on what we want in the future. That's going to be key because we're creating it. And totally. That's the focus. That's why you don't want to be caught up in the mire of what's going on in the present so much. You got to know, got to be prepared and protect yourself. But at the same time, we're also projecting what we want in the future.
Yes.
That's important. We're creating it as we go.
Hey, and maybe the laughter is helping add to that energy too, right?
Yes.
Like we want laughter in the future. We want joy and happiness and all the good things.
Never know. Me and my flying car might show up at your driveway.
Pippa, here we go.
Your runway. Me and my little Pippa. Hello.
All good. Thank you, everyone. We'll see you next week.
Sounds good. Love you all. Thank you.